Hello everyone and welcome to what is a round I would kind of like to forget. We'll get into a little bit of why that is, but right now as you can tell, I'm on slick tires, the track is a bit wet, which means there's gonna be people spinning out. So as you see me there, kind of getting a little bit of a shake from the rear end, but also trying to find a little bit of grip on the outside lines where there's not that much rubber. But as you can tell, I'm getting a little bit too confident as I go and send it straight into the wall right there. So, as you can tell, pretty tricky situation here as more cars smash into each other. Thankfully, nobody hit me, but you can just tell under those braking zones, it's super shaky, and then you catch just a bunch of understeer. And even coming in here into turn 2, we have somebody else spinning out. And yeah, so a pretty crazy start to the day. What had happened was, since no one was expecting rain, we actually delayed the race start, let it rain, and then we were actually the first ones out on track after it had stopped raining. So this is right now the qualifying session. You can see it had gotten a bit better, and I had actually put in probably one of the most magnificent laps I have ever put in a qualifying session ever before. You can see the fist bump right there because I knew I had done a really good job, and over half a second that I put into qualifying. So coming into this round number 7, feeling really good. And what is so important about that qualifying session that I really felt good about was the fact that I was currently in that chase to hunt down Seth for the P1 in the championship. So off we go, we get started, and I have my traditional terrible start, but thankfully we can go right here, deep on the brakes, and gain that position back. So right now it's Seth just behind me, and we have Albert behind him. So kind of the way that it's panned out, I'm thinking that, I have tons of pace over him, and I'm going to be able to just kind of move away. If you can put half a second down, then it's probably going to be pretty easy to move away from someone, even if they're in your slipstream. So right about this point, things were looking good. As you can tell on the rear view camera, I've put in a pretty decent gap, so things are looking good for me at the moment. And as I was saying, one of the things that we weren't expecting was this rain. So it wasn't necessarily the issue that it was raining, it was the fact that no one had rain tires, and that's why we had a huge delay. Now, another thing I was absolutely not expecting was Seth to catch me so fast on the straight, losing out to him into turn 1. I try to make a move into turn 2, but I just back out of it. But that also leaves me now vulnerable to both Albert and Michael coming in behind, wanting to get a nice little step on that podium. But I go defensive, I make sure to try to hold him off. He's going to try to come back at me a little bit, but I'm able to just kind of hold it through there, and I know I have pace through here that's going to allow me to kind of move myself a bit further away from Albert, and I can just try to tuck into the slipstream set. So this was the first time that I had been running with Seth, even during practice. Usually, historically, it seems like he kind of likes to grab his own space in the practice sessions, kind of waits for everybody to go out. So I never really have a reference with him. And yeah, so one of the things I really noticed was he actually was able to catch me. So we're right here side by side, but I'm going to hit rev limiter, and he's going to continue to just pull a little bit further away from me. So I'm trying to think about what that specifically was. I believe it could come down to maybe just a little bit on more RPMs on the engine. But another thing that he was doing, one thing that you can't see on my cart, is he's running the standard width wheels on my cart, on his cart, and on my cart I'm running the 7-inch rims, which kind of gives me, I guess, a lower gear ratio, higher gear, probably lower gear ratio, whatever. A little bit more acceleration, a little bit less speed at the top. But he was doing a really good job at just getting those exits and keeping his exit speed up really high. He was actually taking this last turn just a little bit wider, opening up a little bit more. He's actually extremely strong through that section, and you can tell through that kind of hairpin section and that bus stop section before the double right-hander, I actually am able to carry a bit more speed than him. But that advantage that he has on that straight leaves me kind of trying to hunt that time back on him, and doesn't really allow me to get close enough into this hairpin because I lose that time to him on the straight. So you can see right here, I'm able to kind of get right back up to him, but there's no overtaking opportunities through here. Now another thing was, coming into this section, I've looked at the video over and over again. I just wasn't sure how he was getting such a good exit out of there. Now, one of the things I was struggling with really, really bad in the go-kart was terrible, terrible understeer. The cart just kind of felt stuck. It didn't really want to rotate. And the two main portions where it really affected me was into turn one right here. You can see the gap he's put on me. I felt tons of understeer. I wasn't really having, I guess it was really hard to just kind of calculate where to turn in. I really had to compensate and turn in a bit early. If not, the cart just wouldn't want to go exactly where I wanted it to do. And after this double right-hander that we're going to go through this section, you're about to see how much time I can actually gain on him through here. You can see I'm actually almost able to send it up the inside. But a bit of a surprise move. I let off. I know that is not a cool move to make. So with the respect that I have for other drivers, I do not send it in. But as I was saying, through that double right-hander, unless I'm trying to go into someone's side pod, as you saw right there, I actually struggle a ton with just push understeer. So different from turn one where I feel it on entry, there I feel it on exit, and I can just kind of feel it slowing me down a ton. And, you know, right there being congratulated for my extremely opportunistic move and apologizing to Seth and letting him know that I was not trying to send him into the barrier. But as you can tell, we're going to take a look right here and see that I'm actually in trouble. Even though I had the fastest lap, we need to keep in mind that he was only, I mean, less than a tenth of a second faster than me, but he wasn't in any slipstream. So what this means now, I am on the outside line, and that can leave me extremely vulnerable to everyone shuffling in behind me. We have Evan behind us, he's going to try to help me out. We also have Michael. I know he's going to be respectful. I know I'm in a good place. I won't get sent off, as you've seen in previous rounds. And I'm able to just kind of tuck in right here behind Seth and get settled in. Now, I did a lot of data collection running behind him. I guess unfortunately, I know where he's quicker. I know where I'm quicker. He's going to go defensive through here. He knows I'm going to try to make a move into turn one. But right now, the goal is to just kind of push each other along and get away from everybody else so we can just leave ourselves to fight for the P1. So right now, getting another really good exit. As I was saying in the main, he can really pull on me extremely hard, even though technically I should have a bit more acceleration because of the circumference of my tires are just a little bit smaller. And the reason for that is because you're stretching these 6-inch tires on a 7-inch rim, so they're just going to sit, I guess, just a bit more squished radially rather than the 6-inch tire. So right here, I was a little bit concerned because you can see the amount of time he's actually gained on me. So one of the things that I noticed was in that wet session, and knowing that Michael probably isn't going to make the overtake on me, one of the things was in that wet session, I was able to put a much faster lap time than him in the warm-up, and even in the qualifying session, I was in that low grip situation, I was able to put in a really decent amount of time on him. So here's one of the moves that happened that really just solidified Seth and I on our own, fighting for the P1 right there. So we're going to see Evan and Michael trying to make a move on each other, but it doesn't really work out. But what it does work out for us is it's just Seth and I on the run for P1 right here. So about halfway through the lap, once again, faster through the hairpin, and I actually drop a wheel on the outside, but thankfully I don't lose too much time. And through here, I know I can gain a lot of time, but it's just struggling with that push understeer. It just doesn't allow me to get enough speed out of that exit. So I try to tuck in, and you can see I kind of catch him a little bit, but it's just too late. I have the slipstream. I have that more acceleration. I'm not hitting rev limiter through that back straight, but by the time that I'm able to catch him, the straight is already just ending, and you can see the amount of time that he gains on me that I then have to gain through here, through turn one, turn two, through the S's, before the hairpin, if I really want to make a move on him. So it's really just putting me at a disadvantage. The one zone that I could really make an overtake, if my kart was doing exactly what I needed it to do, was into that back straight. So coming here, once again, I can be right on top of him. We take slightly different lines. You can see I kind of get a little bit all over the place, trying not to get at the back of him. But I guess that was a bad example, but you could tell that it's just a bit tricky. Now, we have this ourselves in lap number 17. We have seen back markers cause a ruckus before. Let's hope and pray that there will be no ruckus of any kind. Now, this back marker hadn't moved out of the way, giving Seth slipstream, which I definitely did not want him to have. You could see me shaking my hand in disgust. You could see the amount of time he actually is able to gain on me through there because he has slipstream. Now, he is able to get right alongside the back marker, but as we can probably guess right now, the back marker is not going to let off, splitting Seth and I. I'm going to try to shuffle in the inside, but it's just way too far back. Now, I am facing one of the world's greatest challenges. We are in an incredible battle with last place. We're going to make an absolute send here, but we lock on the brakes, and we collide with the back marker. Now we are in another incredibly intense battle for second place and last place. So we get in that incredible overtake right there, and we are now back to where we started, except we are 5 seconds down on Seth. So as you see this incredible situation that we have now surpassed and survived, we are way further back than we would like to, with just about 2 laps to go, or just about a lap and a half to go. So you could probably guess by now what is going to happen. I am a little bit, I guess, just a bit too far back to send a final dive bomb into Seth. We're going to hope that this back marker gets out of the way, which they do with a little bit of using my right hand as a stop sign for them to slow down and allow me to pass without wasting more time. But let's see if we can make a move into the hairpin here. No, just a bit too far back, but it's okay. We're gonna go through this S's section through here, and we're just a bit too far back once again, but let's see if we can gain maximum time through here, getting an incredible exit. Let's see if we can make a final move into the final turn. We're gonna set ourselves up, and no, we are too far back once again. So as you can tell, I just, didn't take the opportunity to make a move on him. But in all seriousness, one of the things that I did learn, I guess at the end of the day, I don't want to go off just blaming everyone else for things that go on. I want to go ahead and look at what could I potentially have done better. And in that situation, I guess just leave myself a little bit of room. And I guess this applies to any situation, right? The fact that I locked up the brakes, moved a bit sideways, and I hit the back marker obviously didn't help. If that didn't happen, I would have still been, I guess, a bit closer to Seth, but I would have still had that slight challenge of kind of gaining some time back on him, especially with all the pace that he had. He even set the fastest lap in that race. I don't recall if it was in the slipstream of a back marker, but yeah, maybe next time we will do better. But like I said at the beginning of the video, this was a really big weekend in terms of kind of clawing back some points on the championship. I was beginning in this weekend just about 30 points behind. I knew that if I could put in some really good results, it would give me just that opportunity to maybe fight for that championship on the final round, knowing Seth usually doesn't make any mistakes. But unfortunately, it is not what happened. But we're going to see what we can do on round 8. We're going to see what happens. You never know. And yeah, we can't just let him walk away with the championship right there. So thank you for watching. I'll be back with another round of videos where hopefully I can get past Seth.